Fourscore and many years ago, we're talking pre-TV. Thurman Turkey strode along his shore to see what he could see. He sniffed the flowers, felt the breezes, thought a thought or two. As he was quoted later, there was nothing else to do. One day old Thurman Turkey showed up missing from the flock. He had schlepped to Massachusetts where he perched on Plymouth Rock. A ship he spotted frightened him and made his blood run cold. It was packed with Pudgy Pilgrim from the bowsprit to the hold. Here comes the neighborhood. Now he heard about those pilgrims and was ready for their flack. Ever since the Magna Carta, they ate turkey for a snack. He invented something drastic that dropped them to all fours, and it turned them into zombies when they settled on our shores. That's how a turkey created TV. That's right, a turkey created TV. It sounds stupid, but oh, take one look and you'll know that a turkey created TV.
This video is brought to you by Patreon. Patreon. Sovereignty unconditionally belongs to the people. No, wait, that's the wrong turkey. 1984 was a major year for Nickelodeon. The channel moved from Warner Amex to Viacom. Bob Pittman took charge of MTV Networks. Cy Schneider stepped down and was replaced by Jerry Laybourne as president of Nickelodeon. There was a complete brand overhaul. They introduced animation and brought back music videos. And we saw the beginning of focus groups and test screenings to determine what kids wanted from a cable network just for them. The ratings went up. The channel now having commercials meant they could finally start making a profit. It was an amazing, forward-looking year for Nickelodeon. 1985 was less so. While the channel was still riding high on its 1984 momentum, its actions a year later were a lot less impressive and, in some places, backwards. Not really internalizing the lessons from the previous year. Yes, animation, especially Danger Mouse, was a popular new addition. So let's get 2 more animated shows that are cheaper and look worse than what came before. While Star Trek might make up for it in the writing, The Little Prince was a dud of a show that couldn't hold a candle to Belle and Sebastian. What else can we put on? Oh, how about Hanging In, a Canadian sitcom that not even the Canadians care about and has no business being on a children's cable channel. But more than that, both Nickelodeon originals from this year were in some way a throwback to the Cy Schneider era. First, there was National Geographic Explorer, a 3-hour block of documentary programming, none of which was actually made with a child audience in mind. It was very much the continuation of stuffy educational programming that gave Nickelodeon its schoolyard reputation as a green vegetable station. The other original project seemed a lot more hip on paper. Team up with You Can't Do That on Television's creator Roger Price and film a new sketch show, then splice the new footage with stand-up routines and comedic shorts from around the world. A tasty comedy all-you-can-eat buffet. The end result was, effectively, a new package show, the kind of TV that made up most of Nickelodeon's first couple of years of existence. And it was called Turkey Television.
I'm tired of dancing, fed up with eating out. I've had it with a symphony, I wanna sing and shout. Oh, it's Turkey Television. It's strange, it's weird, it's really neat. Hamala, so it's Turkey Television. It's TV good enough to eat.
Turkey Television.
Yeah.
On Nickelodeon.
Hey, considering the name, can we pretend that this is the Thanksgiving episode? Cool. Premiering on June 3rd, 1985, Turkey Television, or Turkey TV as it was often shortened to, is kind of a hard show to talk about, as it doesn't have a great deal of structure. About 2/3 original sketch comedy material, mixed with about 1/3 imported clips and performances. Episodes of Turkey Television were without framing to connect them all together. Sometimes a few sketches would relate to each other in theme, like you might get 3 or 4 bits about going to the doctor, but this didn't extend through the entire episode like the theming in You Can't Do That on Television. The notion of Turkey TV was to take excerpts from all over the world, Norwegian commercials, Italian game shows, and classic footage, black and white stuff, and put it together with VJs in a transforming way. It would always be fresh due to running it in new combinations. Speaking of, a good chunk of You Can't Do That on Television's cast and crew returned for this project. Along with Roger Price as the show's co-creator and one of its many writers and directors, Staff writers Mitchell Cannell, Dick Cooper, Andrea Mitchell, Josh Morris, and Robert Sachs also contributed, while Jeffrey Darby returned as one of the show's many producers and directors. Returning cast members included Les Lai, Kevin Kubishevsky, Adam Reed, and Christine McGlade, aka Moose.
So you think you want to be a waitress? I want to serve food to hungry people who'll give me tips for excellent service. Well, now that's a great idea, honey, but do you think you're going to be able to handle an order like ham on rye with mustard and a side of fries, change that to ham on white bread with mustard and no fries, or change that to ham on a cottage with cheese and a side salad? Stop, I'm confused.
Now 21, McGlade was in her last season of You Can't Do That on Television and looking to expand her resume. On top of acting in Turkey Television, she would serve as a producer and director, though what sketches she worked on is impossible to say. The credits for Turkey Television are massive. You start to think they just copied and pasted the phone book, and nobody is credited to their individual segments, so it's impossible to say who exactly worked on what. Now, Roger Price, our old frenemy. If you couldn't tell from the footage, this is a show that's never received a home video release, and I've only managed to find 2 complete episodes and about 30 minutes of assorted clips online. There's a chance this footage isn't actually representative of the show as a whole, but from what I've been able to watch, most of Price's bad habits seem to have been kept in check. Price wasn't remaking his children's sketch show for a 7th time, and none of these sketches are rehashes of his old work, and most importantly, out of the footage I have, there isn't a single boy in a dress. No doubt Price was on a shorter leash than usual, as this wasn't exclusively his show. Geraldine Laybourne makes her one and only credit on the Nickelodeon show as co-creator. And while she was busy running the channel, the credit wasn't just honorary. She did have some say over the proceedings. For one, both of Laybourne's children, Emily and Sam Laybourne, were credited performers for the show. Again, nobody is credited to specific skits, and I don't even know what the two of them looked like as young people, so I don't know if any of the kids in the available footage are them. But they're out there, somewhere. In addition to that, short films from Early Bird Special, the production company Laybourne co-founded before joining Nickelodeon, were featured in a few episodes. Hey, who wants to see a man eat sandwiches all gross-like? Another thing that separated the show from You Can't Do That on Television was that many of the original sketches starred only adults. Reoccurring segments included Somebody Else's Mothers, where 2 moms talk about their children's unruly behavior, Service with a Smile, where a customer gets bad service from a ditzy waitress, School Board Inspector, jokes about underfunded schooling, and the Uncle Hogram program, a parody of preschool television where the host talks with his hand character while doing a Mr. Bill impression.
Hi boys and girls, I'm Uncle Hogram, and welcome to the Uncle Hogram program. Let's say hello to Pippi. Hello Pippi, how are you feeling today?
I'm fine, Uncle Hogram. How are you?
Oh, I'm fine, except for one thing.
What's that, Uncle Hogram?
I have a terrible cold. And I've run out of Kleenex.
Oh no! Somebody get him quick! Quick! Get him!
As for the imported footage, there were clips from the silent comedies of Charlie Chaplin and Harold Lloyd, comedy re-edits of old black and white footage, scenes from short films, and the odd music video. And I do mean odd. Things too offbeat for Nick Rocks or even primetime MTV.
Fish heads, roly-poly fish heads, eat them up, yum. Fish heads, roly-poly fish heads, eat them up, yum.
In the morning, laughing happy fish heads, in the evening, floating in the soup.
There are also segments from other comedy sketch shows, including many from The Uncle Floyd Show, a local program from the New Jersey market.
How do you make a customer relate?
Well, if they feel that you're just like them, they'll like you.
Hello, sir. Sit down.
Thank you.
How are you? I'm fine. Okay. Now, do you like to have a little policy? Yeah, we have a nice little policy. We have a very, very good policy, huh? Look at the benefits you have. Oh, yes, it seems very nice. Doesn't that seem very nice? Yes.
Let's see, what else? Well, there were animated shorts from Argentine creator Guillermo Mordillo, comedy shorts from English performers Don McLean and Peter Glaze, and there was this. And finally, short pieces of stand-up routines. Some of them are interesting from a historical perspective, like a very early performance of Dana Carvey's song Chopping Broccoli, which he would later use in his audition for Saturday Night Live.
And my lady, she went downtown. She bought some broccoli. She brought it home. She's chopping broccoli.
Other stand-up bits are just baffling, like this moment where former Pop Clips DJ and future voice of Roger Rabbit Charles Flesher is condescending towards a woman's smoking habit.
What are you doing? You going to have a cigarette? May I help you? Cigarettes are good for you. They are. They make your brain go to twice its normal size. Go ahead, light one. Breathe the poisons deep into your body. It's fun to smoke. It's good for you. Here, have another. Cigarettes are good for you. No, you like to smoke, don't you? Go ahead, light it. Light it!
To keep things consistent, a laugh track was put over the entire show, even over footage that didn't have a laugh track to begin with. Further tying things together were odd moments of Turkey Television's mascot character, Thurman T. Turkey, being crudely inserted into the footage, looping through an animation and then disappearing. The Turkey animation is credited to Paul and Helena Fairlinger, a married couple running AR&T Associates, an animation house arguably best known for making the teeny little Super Guy segments of Sesame Street. This video's just been a long list, huh? Well, there's really not much else you can say because nothing on the show feels substantive. A 25-minute episode of Turkey Television can have as many as 35 segments, ranging in lengths from 10 seconds to 2 minutes, with the exception being the slightly longer music videos. The pace is rapid, the jokes come fast, and nothing is allowed to sit. You don't even have time to laugh if you can find the reason. It's not that fast, compact comedy isn't possible. Vine and TikTok wouldn't be what they are if that were true. But in the case of the imported stuff, most of it was edited to fit within the Turkey Television format, destroying the original pacing. As for the new stuff, humor is subjective and all that, but the majority of them relied on verbal comedy, not always the punchiest kind of jokes in the world. This is a lot for a half-hour program. It can almost be exhausting to watch. Imagine if it was an hour long. Because it was. Turkey TV premiered as an hour-long program, airing from 3:30 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. every weekday. Not only was that way too long for this kind of show, it was also taking up valuable real estate. So, early in 1986, the show was re-edited into a half-hour format. So, how did it come to this? Why did Turkey Television take this form factor? Well, in the early days of cable television, this kind of rapid delivery of short pieces was somewhat in style. MTV is the obvious point of reference. Music videos were still very new, and a music video channel was still very novel. A then contemporary show that Turkey Television reminds me a lot of is Night Flight, a 4-hour variety show airing on the USA Network, consisting of music videos, oddball skits, re-edited old footage, short films from around the world, celebrity interviews, stuff like that. If you somehow condensed Night Flight into an hour, it would probably resemble Turkey Television quite a bit. Compilations of quick, hip, oddball pieces of media were in style, and Jerry Laybourne was looking to make Nickelodeon seem stylish. The idea was that we were going to do comedy clips for kids the same way MTV had done music clips. And later on, HBO tried to launch a whole network based on comedy clips. But we learned on 1.5 million what they learned on close of 100 million. That mix doesn't work on television. Now, you could probably surmise that I don't think turkey television was great TV. I can see kids having fun with it, but the execution could have been better. Don't love it, don't hate it. Didn't watch it as a kid, so I don't have a strong nostalgic attachment to it. It's just an odd bit of television. But you know who really didn't like turkey TV? Jerry Laybourne.
Who remembers turkey TV? No one, except me. And not fondly.
The thing that's great about comedy is that it pays off. It builds, it pays off, it builds, it pays off. And when you're only getting the payoffs, it's obnoxious and jarring. There isn't as much funny material as you'd expect. Early in 1985, Nickelodeon was running a bit hectic. With Arts leaving the late night, early AM time spot, the channel was frantically working out something to replace it with, and Laybourne's focus was split so much that she couldn't give turkey television all the attention it deserved. Completed episodes crossed Laybourne's desk around Memorial Day, and looking at the show, Laybourne was aghast. Reportedly, Laybourne's son told his mother that she would never work in television again. The exact nature of this early version of turkey television is unknown, as Nickelodeon went through a 2-week process of re-editing the entire show. As you may have noticed from that quote earlier in the video, turkey TV was conceived with an MTV-style VJ who would lead into the sketches. There is no hint of a VJ in the available footage, suggesting the idea was either dropped during production or removed during this re-edit process. In any case, Laybourne and her team did something to the show, and while still very dissatisfied with the results, they aired it. And it got okay ratings, 0.8. Not you can't do that on television numbers, but not nothing. Only one season was produced. I haven't been able to find an exact episode count in either its hour or half-hour format, but clearly it was enough to keep the show in reruns for a few years, its final broadcast airing on December 31st, 1988. Again, zero home video presence and not exactly a show that comes up a lot in Nickelodeon's rewind nostalgia trips. Even if you loved turkey television as a kid, it wasn't one of the channel's headliners. Still, it was a learning experience for Nickelodeon's president, a production she would take to heart as Nickelodeon continued to develop original programming. Turkey TV was a bomb in my mind. Everyone else thought it was an okay nothing. So we went from there to, well, let's figure out how we're going to do production. Let's bring the good challenges in-house for a while, because clearly we don't know how to supervise outside production companies very well. That was the result of Turkey TV. Turkey television came out at exactly the right time for Nickelodeon, when things were still changing and things were low stakes enough so that a failure like this wouldn't do that much damage. The channel was doing better, but wasn't close to its peak of popularity. A perceived dud like Turkey TV wouldn't hurt the channel's reputation in any meaningful way, allowing itself to be ignored and eventually forgotten. Turkey TV is also a great lesson in learning from failure, that something not working as you hoped can be a good thing. Laybourne's shock and disappointment in Turkey television allowed her to refocus, and Nickelodeon's next original production would change everything.
Smoked a pipe and he watched TV so that no one knew.
He was a monkey man.
Monkey man, he was a monkey man, he determined what he could do. So he took a jacuzzi and he tried some sushi so that no one knew.
He was a monkey man.
Next time, Star Channel gone, Arts gone. It's time for Nickelodeon to step up and take care of those late night, early AM hours themselves. Let the baby boomer nostalgia reign. Today's research shout-out goes to Nickelodeon Nation, the history, politics, and economics of America's only TV channel for kids. I have already plugged this book, and I try not to repeat references, but this is still one of the best books on Nickelodeon's early history out there, and the only source I could find on Turkey Television's production. Any other time it gets mentioned, Laybourne just goes, "Oh right, Turkey TV, let's not talk about that." But this book has an entire page dedicated to the show's production. So yeah, Nickelodeon Nation again. Thank you all for watching. Knacks and other Pop Arena productions are funded by my generous supporters on Patreon. If you'd like to see Knacks continue to grow with better production values, more research materials, and a puppy, consider contributing through Patreon. You can also support Knacks by liking the video, leaving a comment, subscribing to the channel, hitting that bell icon for notifications, following me on Twitter, sending a one-time donation through Ko-fi or PayPal, and sharing Knacks with all your friends. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time. We finally get to do Nick at Night.